Hello, good morning, and welcome. This is Sunrise, and right beside me this morning for the first time is drum rolls. You are not good at that.
Let me roll it for you.
Hey, no. You know, like one day, someone asked me, I play the piano, I play the, I play the microphone. You play the microphone. Mm-hmm. You don't play drums. So let's just. They want to meet you.
You've not. You're supposed to introduce me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the backstory to this beautiful woman beside me was that she was the one that was asked to audition me.
Oh, wow.
Here.
Oh, my goodness.
And as soon as she got into the reception, she said, wait, who am I auditioning? He said, is it
this guy?
Should we swap places? Jockey Rogers, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm happy to be here.
I can see that. I can
Everyone,
see that.
if it's with this character, I must announce now, it's a thorn in my flesh.
Oh, yes.
Tormentor of my soul.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes.
He seizes every opportunity to torment me.
Yes,
oh my goodness.
Yes. And you see that she's enjoying the torment.
Oh my goodness.
You can see that. She's enjoying the torment.
Well, it's been a long time coming. I'm happy to. Honestly, I didn't think in my lifetime that I'll be here.
Well,
I enjoy the show. I love the conversations. A lot of times, outside of the serious conversations that's educative, there are some, very fun moments on the show that, while I'm in the newsroom busy doing production, we're laughing our heads off. I'm saying, oh, good one. It's really, really beautiful time. So I believe that I'm happy now to be here, to be a part of the reason why people will learn and why people will equally laugh and have a good Saturday morning.
You said something the other time. You said you didn't expect in your lifetime. Well, this is your dead time. So, maybe should I say it's your living time?
Yes.
Okay, well, first thing that I like to say this morning, one of the conversations that we said we're going to have, is this interesting news that just came from the Lagos State House of Assembly. And that is the fact that the Lagos State House of Assembly has in its 2025 budget provision for a house for each member of the House of Assembly, which they call a parting gift, of a house worth 155 million naira in Lagos or Abuja. Now, I don't know what you think about that one.
Well, I mean, that's a lot. And, these people have constituents. So how much should they spend to do projects and all that in their constituencies? Do they even spend that much?
I don't think they have a problem.
In the first place?
I don't think they have a problem with the constituency projects because just over the weekend, maybe even just yesterday, in fact, in a few hours, minutes or hours from now, you'd find it on the news, on Channels Television, that the State Houses of Assembly members went to their various constituencies, even their senators went to their various constituencies to stay in touch with town hall meetings.
Town hall meetings, certainly.
To stay in touch with them. So whether their people are satisfied or not, that's on them. But this particular one, the people may not get to hear.
Yes, it's true.
Okay, so we're letting you know.
Why do they even need parting gifts in the first place?
That's the question that I'm asking. I really don't mind the parting gift, so long as you can equate it with what you give to a civil servant who has spent 35 years or is 60 or whatever year the retirement age is now. So the fellow spends 4 years, maybe 8 years, maybe whatever number of years, and he's for whatever reason unable to return to the house, and he gets a parting gift of 155 million naira house. I know that can't be the only thing that he's going to get.
And maybe because they're just strictly politicians. They're not civil servants. So, civil servants will get pensions.
Don't forget.
For a number of years.
What pension? How much? Don't forget.
Some states, Lagos State, I don't think Lagos State has a problem with paying pensioners.
It's not.
You usually don't hear issues with Lagos State.
Yes, but how much pension do they pay? I'm sorry. I'm just putting it out there because in the House of Assembly member, for instance, what's the qualification by the Constitution?
Right.
The minimum qualification.
Yes.
Now compare that with the civil servant, who has to have a minimum of a first degree.
First degree, yes.
To get in, and even at
I think civil servants is school. No, I mean the House members. I think is like from school cert to
school cert attempt. Attempt. And he's gonna get X number of X house value.
Usually they say it pays to be a politician if you play your cards right and you get into the game. And why they say politics is a what?
Whatever that is, you know that is. But so anyway, that is out there. And you know, the Bayelsa State House of Assembly attempted that as well, and I think it was Governor Seriake Dixon that said, no, you are beyond constitutional limits. So you can adjust the resources, the emoluments for everybody else but yourself.
Yeah.
Now, for you to do that for yourself, you are out of constitutional remit. And so, didn't they know that? That's why I always say that some legislators don't know their jobs.
Yeah, it's certainly. Some show that don't, and some we don't even hear about some people at all. You know, there are some lawmakers. I think we were talking the other day, and some people were remarking that I think it was about ministers that we don't even know that some of them exist. Like there's some that are in your faces. Like they do, but you don't even until they now say, "Oh, this minister is going," or they do cabinet reshuffle, and then you now start hearing some names and say, "Oh, okay, that person, that fellow, oh, he's actually there." We don't really get. So what does he do or what does she do? Really?
That's where he earns a day's pay. It reminds me of that interview, that presidential chat that held in Lagos, and the president was talking to the panel of interviewers. Name one minister that is not working, and some people were naming Wiki. I said, "Guys, come on."
Like he's in our faces.
Power ministry. That would be my default. Power ministry. Naturally, unless there was a brief, and I'm certain that there was no briefing that they can't mention any minister's name. Anyway, that is that. I'm talking about Abuja. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that car?
Which one?
That Cybertruck car. Yes. You said it's dirty.
Yes, so.
Yes, because it was dirty.
Dirty.
But it is a 24 karat gold dirty car.
You have that any day, right?
24 karat gold dirty car.
Like some people have things. I mean, you probably would just. It was a sight for sore eyes. I'm sure a lot of people are taking pictures. I'm sorry, we can't bring that your way right now. but you know, but we saw it. You know, people were taking pictures of the Cybertruck, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was. I'm sure if it was a sight for sore eyes on that particular stretch of road, and there was traffic. So there was enough ample time to take pictures of that truck.
It's also expected that you can't be in that kind of vehicle on Nigerian roads in Abuja at that, and not have security around you. So at some point, security people came out and began to ward off people from the car, because I thought that car was also supposed to be, what's that word now? Bulletproof or something?
Well,
I thought.
But hey, you won't be able to find out now because there were no bullets around it.
24 karat gold must be bullet.
It must be bulletproof. Even it must be.
Anyway,
for you to play around with the 24 karat gold, and the car is ugly, really. It's just going.
When this car came out first, Hummer, people said it was ugly. The Honda Element, people said it was ugly. It's a Chariot, fine. Give me the ugly car first.
But that one looks like, I don't know. It looks like a military truck.
It's a truck, not a Cybercar.
I don't like the angles. And that's just me, really.
Joker, you can be sure that you then dash you go collect our face.
I can have it for security reasons. I'm talking about, I can have it for, so that when you...
The Honorable Minister, Mrs. Joker Rogers.
You can have it for, like, his money is like safekeeping.
The Honorable Minister, Joker Rogers. Honorable Minister of Enjoyment.
I receive it. If there's such position, I receive
Honorable Minister of Enjoyment. So when
they see me in a Cybertruck, they will do that. It's Honorable Minister of Enjoyment. What else do you think will happen?
All right, let's get into the groove this morning. Our first conversation is understanding the Cybercrimes Act. You really want to listen to this conversation.
And then we also have something that has been troubling a lot of residents of Lagos living along the coastal lines as the ocean surge. Lekki residents are crying out for help this morning. We'll bring you that as well, that conversation.
Countering Insurgents recruitment drive. What does that mean? Find out in the course of time.
And then, of course, something to do with your health. Loving your liver. Wow.
You have to fall in love with
your
own interest.
In your own interest, yes, certainly.
And the twist of the week this morning is, as Alera would say, let's just say it's a he.
Is a he.
Not a she. Not a shim.
Not a shame.
It's a he.
Oh, that Auntie Alera you mentioned.
So in the meantime, do me a favor. Grab your cup of cocoa.
Oh, mine is
or
far away.
if you prefer cocoa, don't worry, she's been baptized.
Or you prefer coffee.
No.
Let's
Cocoa or cocoa.
Yes.
Full stop. If you want coffee, go to another program. And we'll be right back in a moment or two.
All right, see you soon.
All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning. The first conversation we're having is a little interesting. I think that's the word that I would use. Recently, the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention and so on Amendment Act 2024 has introduced several significant changes to strengthen Nigeria's cybercrime security framework and address gaps in the previous legislation. But the one that is troubling people is one that says that if you are it's alluded that if you are the admin of a WhatsApp group,
yes,
that you stand guilty of anything that can. Anyway, the part we want to talk about concerning the Cybercrimes Act this morning is the one that has to do with social media. Let's have a quick conversation with three people joining us today. Lekki Olatunji is Chief Information Security Officer of the Alternative Bank. He joins us here in the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
To my side here.
Yeah. Christian Love is a digital technology attorney. He joins us here as well. Morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you.
And joining us virtually is Uche Onyekwe, a cybersecurity specialist. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Let me begin with you, Mr. Olatunji. Is there a cause for concern?
Well, first of all, thanks for the privilege of coming on your show. I think for me, the spirit of the act basically is to counter issues around misinformation that actually came up, especially after COVID and the elections. Specifically as it relates to social media, there are concerns, legitimate concerns about people just, in the name of speaking their mind, not sticking to facts. And sometimes those facts get a life of their own and result in social issues, right? So what I think the Act is trying to say is to give responsibility to those who can control certain narratives that are untrue, and ensure that they're held responsible. For example, the WhatsApp group you mentioned. If you are an admin of a WhatsApp group and someone posts an information that is not verifiable, you created the group or you have access to moderate the group. It's your responsibility to delete such messages. However, if it comes to light that you didn't do that and results in in something that affects the society or harm to someone else, you will be held liable.
Right. And, be that as it may, do you think that this act, talking to you now, Mr. Love, do you think that this act has been able, to do that, which he has just said, to be able to regulate as such? Or do we still have slips here and there where a lot of misinformation still hangs in the air, and there's really not much that we can do about it because it's already in the space.
Thank you once again for the opportunity to be here. Just like you said, the spirit and the letter of the law is designed to be able to find the nexus between the freedom of thought and expression and the ability not to be able to use that freedom of thought, because where your right of expression stops, that's where someone else starts. And there's a misconception about Section 19 about the WhatsApp. It's not really in the Act. Section 24, subsection 1 is the major framework that was amended to introduce a deliberate intent to do something, to do harm to another person.
So how do we, who legislates deliberate?
So the intention, in law, there is what we call the mens rea and actus rea. Mens rea is the intention, actus reus is the actions. So the law enforcement agents, for example, two brothers from Nigeria sent an Instagram picture posing as a girl to a guy in the United States. And one of the things that he said, if you don't pay us $1,000, we're going to expose, after he exposed some of his nudity. And when he said that, I don't have the money, they said, you better do it, otherwise we're going to make you do it. And what happened? He committed suicide. And they were extradited from Nigeria. The Nigerian police was able to trace everything and ensure that they were they were prosecuted. And they've been sentenced to almost 17 years imprisonment. For Nigerian, we just have 3 years or a fine of 7 million. So what I'm trying to say is the intent of the Lord is not to attack WhatsApp admin, no. Is to ensure that there is a balance between my freedom of thought and expression and the ability to harm another person using my information.
I ask again, my apologies, Mr.
Yes.
Love. The question, I'm coming to you, Mr. Uche. The question I'm asking is, how do you legislate intent? The Section 24 sub 1 says, a person who knowingly or intentionally sends a message or other matter by means of computer systems that is grossly offensive, he knows to be false for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger,
and threat to life.
And all of that, commit an offense under this act. Who legislates intent?
Okay, so
because every message you send
has an intention
is intended.
Yes, so the intention here is to cause harm. Intention here, which is the example that I gave, you have to, through the communication channels.
My apologies. What if the person just sends a message innocently? And unfortunately it causes harm.
Okay, so number one, there is no ignorance in law. Yes, you can't send things innocently, but during the course of investigation, questions are going to be asked. It's not just you have committed an offense, we're going to arrest you. No, Nigerian police are extremely effective when they are enabled to carry out their task. So the intent is discovered during the course of investigation. Questions are going to be asked. Why did you send this? What was your intention? And you are going to be able to clarify whether it's just a simple message or it's a clear act of deliberate misinformation to harm another person.
Right. Okay, so Mr. Uche Oyekwe, to get to you now, a lot has gone down. We've talked about intent, who regulates intent, but there's also some, privacy violations when it comes to this. One of the interesting sections is Section 10, which makes it an offense to record a private conversation. One can get up to 2 years imprisonment, I believe. Talk us through some of the sections of the amendments, that's jarring to you, that you think that, maybe it's untoward or something, or it shouldn't even happen.
The reality is that you really cannot go about recording private conversations without the consent of the other person. You can get up to 2 years jail term for doing that. That's really being sneaky, right? Cyber stalking is now more specific with the 2024 amendment that has provided some clarity around what cyber stalking is. It's not you can no longer be charged for just being simply annoying online. It's now about you posting something that is harmful, a harmful content like a threat or a false information. So really, surveillance powers have been expanded. The security agencies now have the right to clamp down on all of these, irrespective of the amount of whether your messages are encrypted or whatever it is. The reality is that you really cannot record private conversations. Other people find it jarring, but in the law, there's really nothing like innocent. There's really nothing like you not knowing what you're doing. Before you take certain actions, you do have to ask for permission, and that's what the Cybercrime 2024 Act says.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. This act has gone through several amendments. We're coming from
2015.
2015.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is 2025. Do you think the amendments are, how would I put it, are enough? Do you think more needs to be done to put into consideration many more nuances that needs to put people in check so that harm is not caused? People don't commit suicide, people don't just shut themselves out or suffer depression or what have you, or people don't feel threat to their lives because of social media, cyberbullying, or what have you, that is always happening. Not to you, sorry,
frankly,
Mr. Uche. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the act has been updated to provide some clarity and focus on cyber stalking and releasing false information. So really, the ability of the security agencies to determine here what a false information is where the trick is actually. It is now in the hands of a strengthened judicial system and our civil groups to be able to determine and protect some of these laws, because really it can be misused. Laws are like are just there to guide us. You can either use it the right way or you can misuse it. But the reality is that misinformation and malinformation, as long as it has been proven that the intent is to misinform or to malign someone else, you can be charged. You can be held liable. A lot has been done to bring us to where we are right now. There is certainly room for improvement, but I think that the 2024 Act does provide a lot of upgrades and a lot of clarity, and we have to focus on the punishment for misinformation and for cyber stalking.
I'm a little bit fuddled, Mr. Uche, but let me come to you, Mr. Latunji. One major challenge that I see so far is the awareness of people about the law. The moment you mention social media, it is natural for the youth population to take it personal and feel personally attacked.
Yes.
It is natural.
I'm attacked.
And then add to that the fact that people will just hear of it, and then before you know what is happening, I'm group admin of a WhatsApp. And it will seem like it's just WhatsApp to people. They don't know about it. Now, yes, we can say that part of the education is what we are putting out now, but how much would you say we need to do in terms of advocacy for this law? I know that before the bill became a law in 2015, there was a lot of noise about the cybercrime law. But now, people are just hearing it like in hushed tones. Civil society organizations are already crying foul, but for the average Jones out there, they probably don't know.
Okay, so I think, unfortunately, one of the ways this kind of laws gets a lot of awareness is when someone violates it, and then they are prosecuted, and it becomes public. For example, there's a lot of things these young people say. They post certain things, and they say they are just cruise. It's just cruise, right? By the time people begin to get prosecuted for posting things that just tag as cruise is basically they post a false information, disinformation, and then when you engage them to find, okay, this thing you've posted is not actual fact, they come and say it's cruise. You understand? It's something that is very common with young people, but I think, like you said, not a lot of people know the implication of doing that.
Until they start cruising away.
Yeah, so it's when people begin to get the penalty for violating these things that it becomes more ingrained. It becomes more
real.
You understand? So yes, it's a way people have it in their subconscious, but it's not like you said, more advocacy has to be done. But until they are, I don't want to use the word scapegoats, but until there are
clearly that's what you want to say.
Okay. Until there are consequences, right? It might be just like traffic violations. If there are no consequences for traffic violations, people will continue to violate traffic, right? But when you hear that you take BRT lane and then your car is going to get impounded, and the car gets impounded, everybody will take.
Mr. Love, let me quickly take you up on this. A good number of groups, Guild of Editors, SERAP, and a number of other people are already crying foul, particularly concerning Section 24, saying that false or misleading information is very vague. So there are references to the vagueness and unpredictability of the amended law, which some even say hinders business confidence and infrastructure development in the nation. What is your take on that?
We have a young and youthful population, and the purpose of law is not necessarily to prosecute; it's to regulate. And we need to create not just advocacy and awareness, but we need to invert how to unleash the energy of our youthful population for productive use, so that it limits their exchanging that energy for wrong use. So for me, we look at how much is being made by our digital creators. They are smiling to the bank because they are adopting the technology in such a way, social media, in such a way that is for productive use. So for me, the focus, it must be is a two-edged sword. So you must be able to drive the process of engaging the young population, so that and creating clusters and hubs where they can plug in and they can learn, they can update their skills, upgrade their capacity, and be able to make meaningful contribution to the society. When you do that, what you are telling them that it's rewarding to use the internet to advance their personal life. And all the people you call Yahoo boys, the two brothers that I gave, that are now serving jail terms. They were catching cruise for $1,000, just $1,000. I mean, it's not too much money, but if you know that with my intellectual property, with the knowledge that I have, I will be able to access resources to take care of myself. And one other thing I would like to say is that the social media is not as real as it's portrayed, particularly the bling. So you need a revolution of values to show young people that you can be patient. You are going to still generate your income. You are still going to make a lot of money by doing your beats, doing all the hard work. Now, for the guilds of editors and journalists that are concerned, what we need to do is create, like my brother said, an avalanche of advocacy and enlightenment, and at the same time create opportunities for young people to tap into their energies and unleash it for productive use.
Right. Let me just come in there. I mean, alluding to the first part of this conversation, we do know that there's a new more compact education curriculum that the federal government is releasing, and I'm thinking, can we start from the very beginning? Children nowadays, especially in primary schools, they're doing ICT,
yes.
They're doing coding, and what if we just have social media responsibility as part of the core structure of their ICT study, so that they can learn from the very beginning that catching crews is not really a good thing. That when there's social media response, because the kids have gadgets now, there's almost nothing you can do. We try and take it away, and then we give it back to them. But kids 6, 7, my 6-year-olds can navigate my phone, just start it on, and do blah, 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 say, "Mommy, don't worry, I'm in, I'm playing my games." And he's just 6. So if they teach them from now to be social media responsible, so that if they do eventually get on the internet, they'll know that I shouldn't do this and I should not do that. They will know the do's and don'ts from the beginning.
So the reason why you can't take the gadget is called dopamine. Dopamine is like cocaine addiction. Once you are screen glued, you have to pick up your phone. So you have to help young people, like your 6-year-old. You really have to help. Mark Zuckerberg is insisting his kids are not going to have access until a certain age,
yes.
Because of the impact in rewiring their brain so that they focus more on eye-tech rather than eye-touch. So the microwave generation of I can get anything done at any point in time without the process of life, because you can't build a great family on the internet, you can't eat your food, certain things can happen just within the media space. They are real life story, friendship, family. So you need to be able to do that that curriculum that ensure that, just like you mentioned, it's ingrained in the ICT framework that you need to be socially responsible. Because for every right that you have, there is a corresponding responsibility that you must display.
You're already getting into a department I call the lifestyle department.
Yes,
We'll come to that some other time. But Mr. Onyekwe, let me ask you this. There is one of the things that disturbs many people is what they call the expanded surveillance powers by security agencies of the very active Nigerian on social media. Now, there are those who say even the US government is asking those applying for its visas to make social media, their social lives or social whatever, public. How does this affect, in your opinion, freedom?
For me, I don't think it affects freedom in any way if you are not caught doing the wrong thing. The amendment does provide those agencies more power to monitor online spaces. What the idea really is to catch cyber criminals faster. So if you're not a cyber criminal and you're not engaging yourself in anything that is related to that, I really don't think there's anything you have to worry about. My take is just like pepper soup. If you cook it responsibly, it's sweet. But if abused, then if there's so much pepper, then it burns everyone's tongue, right? So use it well. The social media space is supposed to be used for something positive. People are using it for businesses, right? You rarely can grow a business today without the use of the social media. So if you're found doing something wrong, doing something outside of the norm or what the law expects you to do, then absolutely you can go in for it. But then we need our civil societies, we need our courts to come in here. We need the media to also act as references, because there's already a thin line between what the agencies can do and a breach of your freedom of speech. So yes, the amendment is there. It does allow them to check your social media handles. Even the U.S. Embassy does that as well. But really, the idea is not to harm anyone who is
Well, Mr.
using
Yekwe,
that space.
just 1 second, Mr. Yekwe. Aren't you concerned, because you heard Mr. Love here talk about the fact that it's not, the law is not intended to do this, it's intended to do that. Aren't you concerned that these expanded surveillance projects can be interpreted willy-nilly, even by security agents themselves? Some of them have no idea what this whole law is about. So giving them this authority to do what we are asking them to do without necessarily giving guardrails, you don't think there could be a problem? Because I'm talking about the enforcement of this law now.
As far as enforcement is concerned, I think that's a different ballgame entirely. The security agencies does have the responsibility of getting the needed trainings and understanding exactly what the boundaries and the nuances of this law is. But I think that is where education and some level of digital literacy will be needed here. As far as enforcement is concerned, like I said earlier, we need a strengthened judicial system. If our laws are not, if our courts are not doing what they're supposed to do, if the civil societies are not there to also help in all of this, then we have a problem. The security agencies does have a responsibility to carry out their duties, but then it has to be within the confines of the law, and how the law is interpreted now becomes a different thing entirely. I think that's where we now have to bring in our judicial systems.
We'll come to the interpretation. But let me ask you, Mr. Olatunji, this same question. Because the security official that uses, forgive me, this is not to indict, this is not to shame or anything. A security official that uses a 3310 Nokia has to legislate the life of someone, a young 24-year-old who is using an iPhone 16 Pro Max or
Pro.
a Google Pixel Pro Fold.
Don't forget Samsung.
I'm even just leaving that out. Now, it is natural for them to interpret this law in any way they want, because, as we said, a good number of people still believe it is vague and consequently can be interpreted by the fellow doing the arresting as vaguely. Before you even get to the point of proving you are right or you are wrong, you've already cooled off in, where is that place you said the other time? You've already cooled off in a place for like a day, maybe two, before you are released on bail. So help us understand how this might be a challenge.
I think you're right. It actually is a challenge, considering the society that we live in and the history all of us as Nigerians have had to live with our law enforcement. However, I would like to say that, like Uche has mentioned, the only way we can restrict things like this is through the courts, right? The reason why the law was amended was as a result of outcry from the previous one in 2015. We have an updated one now. Nothing says that this current one cannot be updated in the future. So it's important that there are guardrails. It's important that folks from civil society, journalists like yourself, help to contest the boundaries of these things. On the flip side, it might interest you to know that I think maybe as a result of this law, the EFCC has had the highest number of convictions in 2024. They had the highest number of convictions they've ever had in their history, right? Because the law has actually empowered them to do certain things. But we also have our own fundamental human rights. And the only way we can enforce those things is through the help of people like my brother here, who is a lawyer. You understand? Now, the issue of personal discomfort between when you are when you are arrested and when you can get reprieve, that's another question entirely. But I think it's something, we are not where we used to be. This law is a significant improvement on what it used to be. So feedback like this is important for us to be able to push back to the government and say, for example, we mentioned misinformation. There's misinformation, there's disinformation, and there's malinformation, right? Sometimes people post things they don't even know that is false. For example, you post a picture of 2023, 2025, and refer to current events. It's possible you made a mistake. Now, there's no differentiation between that kind of misinformation and someone who deliberately posts that because he has an agenda, and then someone who just wants to disinform people. So those are some of the gray areas that I think the law probably need to fine-tune over the field, so that it's not just vague, like you said. If we need to determine what action is misinformation, what is malinformation, and what is disinformation, because people make mistakes. You shouldn't punish them for making those mistakes.
Mr. Latunji, I have an agenda this morning. Sorry, because the thing is, okay. So I saw a video. I belong to a group of celebrity special marshals, and we got into we found a video, right, that talked about the operations of a special marshal, no, of a regular marshal of the Road Safety Commission, beating up a guy. Of course, there was the concern because, hey, it's as if we all know that these things happen. But here we are now, finding out that this particular video was about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and the references to it was that, okay, this law has been, the case has been dealt with, and all the officials, well, anyway, the case has been summarily dealt with. But how many people will be aware of that? I don't know if there is a way to, when you receive a video now, maybe I should be asking you and Mr. Ochi, but I don't know if there is a way you can track, okay, this video that was forwarded to me yesterday was the original video came up in 2022 or 2020. Because this whole proving thing in court is going to cause a lot of problems.
The issues are simple. It's not easy, but you need to be able to decipher it and be able to separate the chaff from the wheat. What is clear is technology will keep advancing and will eventually catch up, where you are going to still be able to know the date. I mean, undated stuff. You are still going to be able to, but the focus should be, how do we create an enabling environment and unleash the energy of our young people for productive use? Once they do that and they know that they can make a living without necessarily extending their framework to crime, then you will not necessarily eradicate it, but you will reduce it drastically. And for the law enforcement agents and agents, Nigerian police, they are one of the most effective police force in the world when they are adequately mobilized and with resources. They can get a lot of things done. So the ball is in the court of both the civil society, both the government, to ensure that they are adequately trained consistently. They must go through, they must undergo training. So the framework that needs to happen is, we can't leave everything to government. All hands must be on deck.
Do you think, from what Mr. Olatunji said, my apologies again, Shola, do you think the police is adequately equipped now to enforce the Cybercrimes Act?
No, the EFCC is empowered by the law. So they are the prosecuting, they are the enforcement agency.
But they don't really ultimately make the arrests.
Yes,
really,
yes.
Because the first point of call is calling the police.
Yes, is the police. So for me, I sat down with the Commissioner of Police some years ago, and he told me, Christian, how am I going to ensure that this entire environment, when I have 34,000 naira as money for fuel, to be able to, So we need to insist, when the way you treat those who secure your lives and those who train your children, when you teach them and you treat them the way we do, we cannot be complaining. So we need to insist that government must adequately make provision for the police and the teachers, because the teachers are going to educate, then the police are going to secure. So this the future of a nation is dependent on how you treat these two people. It's clear how you are going to turn out in 10, 15, 20 years. That's why when there was a free education revolution, you saw that adequate, more than 25% budget was given to education, and a lot was given to security. You know, there was a point in time that even health inspectors, they will come to your house to ensure that you are doing the right thing in terms of health, so that they prevent a lot of crises.
That was in the 70s, Mr.
So that's what I'm trying to say. That is the focus. Invest resources in security infrastructure, including not just equipment, the people. Let them go through training. If they are well trained, if you don't train them, don't blame them.
Give them good phones.
Right, and you know, as I would say, a lot of these things, you know, from what you've just said, are intertwined. We've left, you know, the Cybersecurity Act to actually ensuring, you know, a set of people in society are adequately taken care of, so that they can do their jobs responsibly. So, you know, how do these things begin to work? What ministries or agencies should come up with maybe meetings with people, town hall meetings, to bring everybody together to discuss these things, to ensure that everybody is on board, everybody knows where they come in, what they should be doing to make maybe an act like the Cybersecurity Act, you know, work, for instance.
Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Everybody must pay adequate attention. I can facilitate a stakeholders engagement. It's not, I mean, the judiciary working with my brother, working with Uche, we can make this happen. We can make this happen. I'm sure the government is also watching us. We will write to them, and channels are going to be involved. We can do a really exciting stakeholders engagement, October, November, December, or we can plan for first quarter of next year. If everybody, because you know, I don't like just talk shop. We got to move from talking to acting, so that you invite the Inspector General of Police, everybody is, and you develop a curriculum. Teachers are going to be there. Everybody is going to work together to make it happen.
Mr. Onyekpe, I want to add fuel to this fire.
Yes, so
particularly looking at something, and I'm sure you know everyone else is going to be wondering. Mr. Onyekpe, add AI to this conversation.
yes.
Can you hear me, Mr. Onyekpe? Sorry?
Not clearly. Can you say that again, please?
But can you hear me better now?
Yes, it's better now.
Jolly. Add AI to this conversation. And this whole idea of, I mean, you see your face. Someone showed me a picture in the course of the week and says throwback video. Throwback
those throwbacks.
Picture.
Throwback with us.
I said, hey, hi.
Hey, hi.
So that has definitely, you may prove me right or wrong, Mr. Onyekpe, exacerbated the challenges of digital transition, digital evolution over time. Add AI to this conversation. I don't even know how to put the question to you, Mr. Onyekpe, but because the young people are going to use it, unfortunately, we are not interested in the law. We just want to we just want to, as Mr. Alatusi said, catch cruise, have fun, because our world is already stressing us. So add AI and its powerful and impactful evolution to this conversation we are having, Mr. Onyekpe.
Frankly, I had a lot of glitches. I didn't quite hear everything that you said. But if I correct me if I'm wrong, what you're asking is that we talk about how artificial intelligence impacts all of these conversations. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Artificial intelligence does provide another layer of governance crisis as far as cybersecurity is concerned, because now we are being faced with a situation where everyone is on the internet, everyone has access to artificial intelligence. There's a bunch of them coming up every day, and it's in the hands of everyone. So how we use it now becomes an issue. It is a conversation that needs to be had. It is one that has no solution yet, because even those who are bringing up these artificial intelligence solutions have not been able to figure out yet how they are going to govern it properly. It is a very useful tool. However, if wrongly used, it can be very, very damaging. There's been a lot of very advanced cyber attacks that are being crafted using artificial intelligence, and I do think that one of the ways that we could begin to um, provide some information is through education. That's just the only way. We in Nigeria, and I don't know how far we've come in terms of providing all of this governance around artificial intelligence. I want to be careful not to. We are talking about misinformation here, so I wouldn't want to be found wanted doing that. But absolutely, AI does provide a very another layer of technicalities, another layer of complexity to the issue of cyber stalking and the issue of misinformation. And that the only way that, like I said, that we can address this is through education. We need to begin to invite. We need to start putting in inculcating some of these education into from a very grassroots, at least from secondary at least. There has to be a curriculum set out for artificial intelligence and the the healthy use of artificial intelligence. That's a broader conversation and definitely one that needs to be had.
Right, that takes me back to what I mentioned earlier. It needs to, once we're restructuring and we're bringing in, new curriculum and standards for schools, we should embed some of these things inside it, such that
Yeah.
these young ones will start to learn responsible social media right from a very young age, and then it's inculcated in them. They already know the do's and don'ts from that. So how do we begin to do that? Because so even when when you're online and you happen upon some of the AI, some will tell you, don't just use AI, use it responsibly, use it to educate yourself, use it to do things that will make you look good. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Don't just use AI detrimentally. Use it to do something constructive and not destructive. And how do we begin to have those conversations as well?
Right, absolutely. I think we need to bring all the stakeholders to a round table. So we cannot really achieve this without the input of the government. They are the one who determine the curriculum for schools, both private and public schools. Some countries have been able to achieve it. China, for instance, was able to shut down their AI tool when their students were taking exams. So you can imagine how controlled the use of artificial intelligence is in China. Are we anywhere close to that level of that advanced level of control? No, no, no way. We're not. Can we get there? Absolutely, we can. But it has to start with one step, and that step is the government actually coming down to realizing how deadly and how dangerous it is if this use of artificial intelligence is not properly controlled, and bringing all the stakeholders to a round table to actually have a conversation and determine exactly at what level and at what point do we begin to put in these measures. How do we incorporate it? How do we incorporate it into our curriculums where students are being taught how to use the artificial intelligence responsibly? It is a very powerful tool. It is a very lucrative tool. The cyber hackers, the men of the other world are using it, and they are using it very well to their advantage. We need to learn how to use it to protect ourselves. We need to learn how to use it to defend ourselves from some of these cyber attacks as well.
Right.
It's an interesting discussion we're having. But Mr. Olatunji, I'll come to you on this. We have barely 1 minute. What should we be saying to young people now?
I think the first thing is be responsible. Okay. There's a saying that the internet never forgets. So you have to be responsible. You're not just living for now, you're living for your future. So it's important that in your posts, in your interactions, in having fun, you are responsible, because there's no excuse in law. If you carry out actions and someone sues you, you might go to jail. So it's important that you are responsible. Speaking about AI has opened, has leveled the platform for a lot of industries and sectors. So if, as a young person, if you are smart, if you are ambitious enough, it's something that you can use to transform your life. That's just my quick word for young people.
Your closing comments, Mr. Love.
If it is to be, it is up to me. You have to take personal responsibility and understand that you have a digital footprint. Like you have your thumbprint, like you have your, it's just unique, and your DNA is unique to you. You got to say, if it is to be, it is up to me. I must play my role. I must contribute my quota. I must engage journalists, government. We have to do these stakeholders. I will challenge my brother, Uche, and I'll talk to him, and I'll also disturb you. and we'll make it happen in such a way that we're not just talking about it, we're walking the talk, and we're shaping a future that is great for our nation. Nigeria is going to be great again.
Well, one last comment from you also, Mr. Onyekwe. And what I would like you to speak to is the advocacy that needs to go, the communication of this law to the young people in particular, because I'm not sure that the young people were in the room when the laws were being adjusted.
Yeah, I want to say that the law is like a goalkeeper. It can save goals, but it can also concede goals if the defenders don't play well. So fighting fake news is a teamwork. It is one that requires the effort of every one of us. We're all stakeholders. And I think the younger ones needs to understand that there are consequences for every of your actions. So before you act, you need to pause, you need to think, you need to verify before you post. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Onyekwe, you just had to bring in football. Hey. Thank you so much for your time, all the same. Uche Onyekwe is a cybersecurity specialist. We've also had Lekki Olatunji, Chief Information Security Officer, the Alternative Bank, as well as Mr. Christian Love, who is a digital technology attorney. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
When we return, we are talking about something that Lagos dealt with years ago.
Also, they thought.
Or so we thought.
Or so they thought.
We'll be right back on that.
Welcome back, everyone. And now we are, at a segment where this one is a call for help. And it's about the ocean surge. You know that Lagos is a relatively small state in landmass, but it's surrounded by water. And, everyone can't live on the mainland. There are communities that live along the coastline. And obviously, these communities are being affected by the ocean surge. This has been going on for many years. So it's not just about the present administration trying to do something. Administrations before Babajide Sanwo-Olu, before Raji Fashola, have been trying, to ensure that people live safely along the coastlines. But then, the water will be the water. It will always find its way. And so there have been a lot of problems along these coastlines, and communities are crying for help because their communities are being washed away. We're not talking about heavy rains and flooding. We're talking about the shoreline and these coastal areas being, eaten away gradually and then eroded. And so we have, people in the house this morning that want to talk about that in the studios with us, to talk about this problem. And if we can introduce to my... This is my right? I don't know why I keep messing up that. We have Nifemi Tojare, right? A resident of Okun Aja. We also have Balogun Suluka, is also a resident of Okumopo.
Yes,
these are the communities that sometimes, you just say, where's that? But there are people who live their lives and they're being affected. And we also have someone virtually, Desmond Maje Kodumi. He's a climate activist and is the founder of Lufasi Park in the Lekki area. There you are. A pleasure having all of you on the program today to talk about this important topic. So if I may ask, let me start, say ladies first.
So we say.
let me, I know it's not a funny matter, pardon me, but it's a very, I can say brutal topic because it's affecting people's lives, livelihoods. People don't know where to move to if their communities are affected. So, tell me, what's the latest? Why are you here to talk about this?
Let me start like this. The water has been disturbing for so long. When I was 10 years, the water was very far to where our parents build houses. So gradually, the water started coming close. The next thing, it destroys houses and shops, property that it's not very funny at all. We could not stay there again. We have to move from there because there's nowhere we can stay again. The water destroys things a lot. And the thing is, when it's raining, it gets worse. That nobody can go close to it. They even carry people. If you go close to the water, you can carry. So we don't go close to the water again.
How often does this happen?
Let's say every year.
Wow.
Every year when it's raining. So.
Well, Mr. Balogun, how do these surges, how do they affect your lives and livelihood, your healthcare, education?
Actually, it is something that, according to how my madam said, during the rainy season, when the rain drops inside it, it comes outside. So like this our Mokbo now, our building, our primary school is close to it's even far from the ocean before, but gradually the ocean come closer to the place and took away everything. As at now in Mokbo now, we are just the one that just got some legal primary school at our side. So our own normal primary school before has been taken away by the ocean. So even our market and our property, many of our buildings, all has been washed away by the ocean.
Do you have any government presence around that place at all?
Yeah, we have government, but this is something that normal our government have been trying. Like when we talk of this Lekki aspect side now, there is acting, they are working towards the ocean. But it's just something that it is a global ocean. So we have government, but we can't rely on the government alone. So this is something is individual that we need the support of.
Okay. Well, Mr. Maje Kodumi, clearly, of course, you are a climate activist, so you understand what the issues are. But the challenge we tend to be dealing with here is that this situation in particular is not new, particularly to Lagos. You would remember what happened in the days of Governor Tinubu then, when the ocean, the Bar Beach, was overflowing everywhere. And they so dealt with it, they recovered land. Is it that we didn't see this coming?
This for a long time. This is the classic symptom of climate change. And it is the most simple of science. The earth is heating. When you have more heat, the water expands and it gets more energetic. And it is not just the Lagos coast, the whole of the Nigerian coast. In fact, a lot of the West African coast is under very severe threat. And we're talking as our dear people, and our heart goes out to the community, because I have seen it personally over the years. 25 years ago, near what they call the Jakande Estate, in my area, there were coconut trees in their thousands, spreading out about 200 meters into the ocean. All those trees are gone. All the houses that were there, all the structures wiped away. And this goes all the way down to Alpha, to Okwaja, to Lafiaji, all the way down the coast. It's an emergency. And we're treating it as if it hardly exists. Mind you, having said that, we have seen some very, very incredible good action on the Bar Beach. What they did to preserve the Bar Beach was tremendous. So it goes to show that we know how to solve this thing. But the big question is, why is it not being tackled right now? Especially with the coastal highway, the coastal road going there, which is also under threat, because there's some areas of that coastal road that have already experienced a little bit of washing from the sea. And believe you me, when the ocean gets very voracious, it can wash away meters of that road overnight. You've seen it happen. You know, they say, water no get enemy.
Well, you know, Mr. Majokodumi, it's not that the state government hasn't done anything. I mean, it's something that you are aware of. In 2012, the Lagos state government earmarked 36 billion naira for constructing sea breakers between Goshen Estate and Alpha Beach. Lagos has spent all that amount. And what we hear is that they need billions more as part of their climate action plan and a green fund to address climate change impacts. Now, so as you said, it's not like the government is not doing anything, but the challenge here is the people's lives are not only in jeopardy, their living standards have degraded as a result.
Absolutely. Massively degraded. It's a huge challenge. And again, in fairness to the incumbent government, they have taken some very proactive action. Previous government, the Fashola regime, did quite a bit. They tried to access the ecology fund. There was so much politics. Can you imagine putting politics in between accessing a fund that's going to help you protect the lives of your citizens? But they were able to use Lagos state funds to do some ameliorative measures. And that's part of the reason why all those areas, the Oniru estate and so on, they've been reasonably protected. But it's a massive thing. And as I said, it's not just Lagos coast, the whole of the Nigerian, in fact, the West African coast is one of the areas of the world that is most threatened by this climate change, this global warming. And there are other coasts. Even ironically, New York City area itself is under threat. There are many areas that are under threat, and this is why we must demand for money from the international community in order that we can adapt to the problem that the industrialized world has put upon us. Because it's not us in Nigeria, it's not us in Africa that have caused the global warming, even though we've started to contribute towards it. So the countries and the organizations that have contributed massive amounts, and we're talking about really disrupting a wonderful, miraculous system of this planet Earth, disrupting our atmospheric gases, which has made life possible on this Earth. Why do you think we don't see life on Mars, or Venus, or other areas, other Earths, other planets? Because they don't have the atmosphere that we have. And what have we been doing over the last 450 years? We've been pumping millions of tons of pollution into the atmosphere. And then on top of that, we've been destroying nature's ability to balance the atmosphere, and that's the forest. And this is where we also in Nigeria are very much to blame. As I said, it's an emergency, and I'm not quoting, this is not my saying. This is the saying that's coming from the Secretary General of the United Nations. He said, mankind is waging war against nature, and this is suicidal, that it is an emergency, and we must take action to address it properly so that our dear people along our coast will not be going through this terrible, terrible tragedy. But I do believe that we shall do it.
Even with all of that, even internally, I know recently the Lagos State government has been appealing to even holding meetings with those people they call that's dredging, doing illegal dredging activities, because according to the government, this is also eating away, at the coastlines, and is also causing a lot of the ocean surges to be, it's eating away at the ocean coastline really, and is making it more detrimental to the communities living around there. What can you say to this? Is this all that needs to be done, about this?
Well, at least they're trying to tackle them. But the fact that they're having an issue trying to stop people doing what you call illegal dredging, illegal. It's against the law. So why are they continuing to do this? We need to take this whole thing far more seriously. Because you see, nature is speaking to humanity. If I can say it in the colloquial, or if you want to do it even deeper, if you sweep the room very often, you will have a clean room. What you sow is what you reap. And what we're sowing into nature, we're getting the repercussions. And definitely the people who are not upholding the law will also get their own repercussions, because this is the inviolable laws of life, the spiritual laws. It's called retributive justice. It's called kifara. It's called karma. So those who are aware that illegal dredging is going on and they're not stopping it, they better do the right job very, very quickly. Meanwhile, we need to address the other situations that are exacerbating this problem.
Okay.
And again, we go back to the global warming. Nigeria needs to lead the way and get support against the climate change.
Well, anyway, interestingly, the former Vice President Osinbajo is one of the champions of the climate action and all of that. But, let me come back to you, Mr. Suluka. I asked about government the other time. The reason I asked about government is that there was an election held in Lagos recently.
Yes.
Local government elections. The people in your communities went and voted.
Yes.
Now, the politicians saw your communities. Were there opportunities to address those issues with them?
Actually, when we talk about voting and election, it is something that it is fixed in a day. If we are to bring out that issue like that, it is something we have to consult to our local government or this thing, so that we have a certain time or specific date we can address or show our our feelings to them. So during the election time, it's just something that they'll come to the field and conduct the election. And after the election, so we have some elderly people around us that we do talk to them that at least this is what we need, this is what the community needs. But when they went to the upward now to discuss with maybe our commissioner or all this local government chairman or this thing, it is something they just told us as feedback. That is what we work on. So yet we are still waiting for them to show up according to what they said, to take action and do something for us. But we are here to see them. That is why we are here.
Don't they come around to campaign?
No, it's just
and
once
then maybe they ask questions.
It's once in a while. It's when the election is approaching, like maybe a week to the election or 3 days to the election. That is when we can have access to see them.
I dare say it seems that it's a neglected group of people, clearly.
Now, when you saw a particular building that we showed
Even
along the
my
coastline,
dad building is there. The ocean took among some of
the one you saw earlier,
Yes.
you saw one
yes,
building.
it's close to our side. That is Mushikogo.
That's what?
Mushikogo.
Okay.
The next village to our side.
Okay.
Yes.
That's that area.
Yeah. It's close to the former Bale residence there.
And these are, madam, let me come to you. How are you able to take care of children the way you want? Look at these communities.
Okay.
How are you able to take care of your children? What are the concerns that you have? I mean, you said when you were 10, the ocean was very, very far away. Now, your own 10-year-olds now, they are seeing these kinds of things. What's likely to be their fate by the time they become your age?
That's why you see many of us.
When we talk about children, the children are living, let's say they are suffering because there is no place for them to stay. They are managing because the water has destroyed so many houses and the water has come close to the remaining houses that is really affecting the children, their health and everything, because even the water is affecting their skin.
Yes.
Because let's say in the night, because the water has come close to the houses, and in the night the water sprinkle and come in and destroy some ions and everything. So they are just managing because there is nowhere to go. So it's very, very hard.
Like, how many people live in that community, Mr. Suluka?
We are many, a lot, boy. Just that, when we talk about maybe education or welfare of our children, that one, if you have access to be there, so you will see a lot of this. Because no food or no, even the children, they don't have much playing ground to express themselves or to at least have maybe a library or all these things. We didn't have the access. The ocean has taken a lot of our property, even close, right as at now, it's closer, even, it's not even just close. Like, it's not up to 1 meter to the community now. So we are just facing a lot there. So.
Okay. Madam, let me come back to you. What are the options that when you say the government should come to your aid, what kind of aid are you expecting?
This is
if we should wait for government stuff,
no.
I don't know. But
well, it is government that has to do it. It's their job.
Yeah.
We really need help because the water is very close and
they should
do something about the water, and so that the water can go far from the community and everything, because we really need.
What if government decides that for your own safety, they need to move the people in the community to another place? Is that something that you think that the community might like?
That one will be very hard because the elders there and everything, they may not accept the offer.
Mr. Suluka, what do you think?
Yeah, it's as if, according to my colleague, we are just here to show our feelings. This decision now should be taken by our elderly people because, of course, we have Kabisi. My father is the chief of Balogun family. We are the Bale. So we have many, many families like that they have their own Bale and their own elderly people. So we have to consult a meeting with them. And even, some of us, we have our own property, our farm, these things. So for government to just come in a day and say they want to move us or relocate us to another place is not a decision we can take a day.
Okay. Now, Mr. Bajakodumi, let me come to you on that. The Lagos State government has proposed building groins, which are intended to protect the vulnerable coastlines. Now, the thinking in the government, in the head of government, from what we have information available to us here, says that they need about 105 groins across a 42-kilometer stretch. But guess what? Each groin is proposed to cost something in the region of 12 billion naira each. One groin, 12 billion naira, and they need about 105. What are your thoughts? Because the other thing that government may be considering is, look, maybe we should relocate the people to a safer environment. But the feelers that I'm getting here is that there may be a pushback by the people in those communities because this budget is quite huge. What are your thoughts?
Yes, it's a very, very difficult situation because even if the community are removed entirely from there, the water will still continue its erosion. And eventually the water will take over the whole of the coastal road and it will go further than that. Eventually, the water will go into the mangrove area. The water will get to the Lekki Expressway the way it is going now, unless the necessary measures are taken. But I'm so glad, my brother, that you brought out the cost implications. And this is why our government must get together with the other governments of Africa. We must speak with a unified voice and go to the international conferences. And there is sympathy for us in those conferences. The Secretary General of the United Nations, many other people are very sympathetic to those countries that are being so badly impacted by the global warming. And believe you me, if, and it's a big if, we can come together as a family of at least West African nations, we shall be able to put our demands on the table, especially if we link up with some of the other vulnerable nations. And one of the major trump cards we have is that within our soil, we still have a lot of the solution. And I'm talking about our forests. Even though, as I said, Nigeria is depleting her forests more rapidly than any other country in Africa, even the so-called protected forest, but there is still plenty of the forests there, not to mention Congo and other areas. And it is this forest that is actually preventing the far more catastrophic consequences of the global warming that the industrialized nations have poured upon us. So if we come together, we can there's money available. And we're talking of trillions of dollars are now there, but they're hesitating to give it out because of the integrity aspects and because they need to know that they are under pressure. We are the giant of Africa now. This is Nigeria. So we must bring our brothers of the African continent together and demand for the necessary funds to protect the whole of our coast. Oh, yes. I can't just put it on Lagos state government. This is very, very big burden for them. But something needs to be done, and we need to start immediately. Luckily, we've shown that it can be done. As I said, the job that was done to protect Victoria Island, excellent. Fantastic work done there, and also some of the other areas. So it can be done, but it must be done. How can our people be suffering this? And even if you move them, as I said, you're not going to stop the water coming in until you take the necessary measures with these massive rock groins. It's absolutely necessary. No matter what it costs, it must be done, because we won't be able to stop the water unless we do the right thing.
Right.
The major right thing to do is come together.
Right, Mr. Majekodumi, there are also, the people with the school of thoughts that there's a lot of disrespect, for nature. While climate change may be a big factor, and that is man-made, I must say, a lot of wetlands have also been claimed for development. Artificial islands are being made, and also, were there any way that we could have, created other pathways for the water to get to where it's supposed to be? Because, people believe that we're just deceiving ourselves, because there are a lot of artificial creations here and water has to find its level at some point, which is why I believe these communities are being impacted negatively.
Yes, absolutely. And as you said, water needs to find its level. Again, it's a global problem. It's we are causing an aberration against the wonderful, miraculous system that God Almighty has put in place to make this a livable planet. We're talking about an average temperature. The average temperature of this Earth, which is a huge living entity, has gone up almost 1.5 degrees. If your temperature goes up 1.5, you will know, say, I get fever. You'll know that you're sick. And this is what we're doing as humanity. We're perpetrating sickness against our very earth, our life support system. And it is getting worse at a more increasingly rapid rate. This is why we need to stop what is causing the problem. Because as they say, prevention is better than cure. So we need to transit into clean energy system. If I bring a generator into your room and I stop the generator, will you stay in that studio?
Okay,
We need to stop
interesting.
this nonsense against nature.
Interesting.
Have a renewal of our minds and be far more caring.
One of the
towards
arguments that I always put up, Mr. Majakutumi, about when we talk about respecting nature, protecting nature, and all of that is, do the people even understand what we mean by that? But maybe that's a different conversation altogether. But as we wrap up this conversation, Mr. Balogun, where do we go from here? How much time do you think the community have before government intervention? How soon do you expect government to act?
Actually, if we should take a look at it, we are in rainy season now. So definitely, we really need the support of the government or individual or everybody, share your understand, because it can rain at any time from now. And once it's rain, definitely we have to face the challenges of the ocean. So it's something we need their support very urgent now. So we didn't have any specific time or month or years, no.
Okay. Yeah. Madam, same question.
We really need their support urgently, very, very fast, because the water is getting worse day by day.
Every day.
Because as the rain is dropping, the thing is getting worse, and our children are getting sick easily because of the salt of the water, because it's very, very close to the house, and it's really affecting the children, because their health and they are very young, sure you get, so the thing is really, really affecting them. So we really need their help urgently.
We can only hope, right, that government will not just be aware of what the problem is. One point when I did the math, 1.2 billion. Is it 1.2 billion or 1.2 trillion?
Which is 12 billion per
Yes,
coin.
which is 12
And you need
billion.
120, did you say?
105 of them,
yes.
along a 42-kilometer stretch. Definitely, as Mr. Balogun said, Mr. Majokudumi said, it's something not just for the federal, but for the state, not just for the state, but for the federal government as well.
So it takes time to do, even if they're taking action now, it's going to take time to ensure
that the needful is done.
Before it's done. So, I mean, what are you going to do in the meantime?
Well, we have to just thank you for being here this morning. Mr. Balogun Suluka, Lekki resident, as well as Tojare Nifemi from Okwaja, as well as Mr. Desmond Majakodumi, who is a climate activist and founder of Fasi Park in Lekki. We appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen, this morning. Now, when we return, it's a similar kind of conversation that affects communities, but more importantly now, it's this whole conversation about insurgency. That's when we return from this break. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining us. This next conversation is equally serious, as we said earlier. Experts have said that for terrorist organizations to stay relevant and operative effectively, They need regular recruitment of members in an existential reality to ensure their survival. And in the wake of the 2014 abductions of the Chibok girls, one thing is clear. The foothold for their recruitment is poverty. And how significantly we have been able to deal with that, I guess time will tell. Even the military have said over and over again that, look, we have our jobs cut out for us. The politicians also have their jobs cut out for them. So for as long as there is poverty, there's inequality, there's social, there's absence of social inclusion for people, it's clearly room for insurgents to recruit more and more people.
And they move from one group to another. They take advantage of this situation.
Absolutely.
You mentioned poverty. We've had the first group that was causing mayhem, Boko Haram. Now we have Lakurawa, or what do they call themselves? And, you know, it's clearly taking advantage of, you know, this situation, especially in those areas where they've, you know, taken a foothold. And, you know, they just don't want to go away. And they've been designated terrorists by the government, which means that action can actually be taken against them.
So we understand that there is a Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies recommendation on Lakurawa recruitment drive. And we have one of them with us in the studio this morning. Mr. Oyewole Ogini is a senior researcher, Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies. He joins us virtually, as well as Mr. Mustafa Al-Hassan, a research associate, Overseas Development Institute, ODI Global. Both of them join us virtually. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Mr. Ogini, let me begin with you. You have made some recommendations. First of all, what informed that? I know that my colleague, Joke here, has spoken to the fact that the Nigerian government officially designated Lakurawa as a terrorist organization, along with their compatriots, Boko Haram. First of all, what's the difference between these two in terms of their operation, in terms of their recruitment drive, in terms of their general existence? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Shem. I think a very important point that you already mentioned, the difference between them is if you look at Boko Haram came on the notion that the recent modern system of government is corrupt and could not offer people what they want, and they use religion, a specific interpretation of Islam, to actually cajole people into joining them. But the difference with Lakurawa is Lakurawa came on board using the existing issue in northwest Nigeria, which is banditry. So Lakurawa came on board and look, we're going to save you, we're going to protect you from these bandits. And that's the reason why Lakurawa came in. And then the difference again between Boko Haram, maybe Boko Haram is an old term to use now, you know, we can talk about JAS, we can talk about ISWAP, as they are splitted, and that also, you know, have difference in terms of their connection, where ISWAP is actually affiliated to the Islamic State, and Boko Haram remain the locally organized one, which also continue to, the JAS continue to find its existence. But for Lakurawa, what is important to know is that Lakurawa came into Nigeria, specifically to Gudu, on the invitation of the local community leader, who actually see the need for them to be able to save them from bandits. So this is the first point. The second point is the demographic of Lakurawa and their connection to Mali, which is in the Sahel region, and different ethnic groups that actually consist of Lakurawa makes it a little bit complex and deadly. In the sense that first, if you look at Jinim, which is one of the major terrorist groups in Mali, has two components. The Jinim, which is actually formed by indigenous people who actually protested, and then they actually get into this sort of establishment of a government on their own. Then another arm of Jinim is Al-Qaeda. So they form this coalition together and they establish as Jinim. So we find from our work also to see that when Lakurawa came to Nigeria, there was an instances where they engaged some government official and the Malia faction left. That was in 2018. But afterward, they remained there. Some of them also were banded in Niger Republic because some of them participated in the Libya fight in 2011, and the Nigerian government already sent some of them away, but they find their way back to Nigeria and they continue to exist in Nigeria. Maybe I can stop there, but I can also explain to you that in Gudu local government in Sokoto, for example, they actually, some of the interview we conducted, they explained that, look, our great ancestors actually have a link with Usman Danfodio, who actually found a solace in Gudu, and they also see it as a duty to protect the people there. So these actually have a link, and when you look at the composition of Lakrawa group, you could see also, for example, Malian, Nigerian, Mauritanian, and other group, even Chadian. So you could see it from their operation, and you could see how they don't even know the currency sometimes. But as it is now, they continue to recruit, and we can discuss, elaborate on this recruitment pattern from household level to individual level to leveraging how the state responds to the incidents of banditry in that region.
Right. Mr. Al-Hassan, let me put this to you. We've talked about the Lakwarawa and their own particular agenda, which is offering protection to communities either to assaulted or invaded by these other insurgent groups. But essentially, what kind of mindset do all these groups have, especially the Lakwarawa, when it comes to recruitment? We do know that when we were talking earlier, I mentioned the fact that poverty and illiteracy and what have you, no safety social nets, were some of the things that fueled the recruitment with those that caused harm to the people. But the Lakwarawa now group that wants to protect the communities, or that's what they say they want to do. How do they recruit? What's the recruitment target? Are they also recruiting from the fact that these people are also poverty stricken, if I could put it that way, and that's how they get them to work? Or what kind of members do they recruit? I mean, if you can answer that question for us.
Thank you so much, Joke, and good morning to Nigerians. I think when it comes to recruitment, it's important to highlight that recruitment thrives on vulnerabilities. And some of those vulnerabilities you have mentioned yourself, vulnerabilities around poverty, vulnerabilities around lack of education. But oftentimes it's mistaken that when it comes to recruitment into terrorist organizations, it's the issue of just poverty or economic or even ideology. It's a myriad of all of these issues coming together and contributing to people joining these groups. In the instance of Lakwarawa, they target young, very, very young kids from 15 to 25 who have no access to opportunities, particularly employment opportunities. They present them with a false hope or a false admiration, which in itself is a reflection of some of the failures of the state, because young people themselves do not necessarily have anything so to speak of to dream towards, So when it comes to recruitment, this is the first thing. Vulnerabilities are a significantly huge factor. What's interesting to note is the dynamics between insurgent armed groups versus the state is that the insurgent armed groups ultimately understand these existing vulnerabilities and capitalize on them. Many examples exist, for instance, in the case of Mahmudawa, where the Office of the National Security Advisor in August had mentioned the arrest of two of the leaders of that group. It's reported that one of the leaders of the group had aspirations to become a military officer. Then what happens when young people do not have what happens when young people are not given these opportunities to thrive, to be able to pursue their dreams, where young people have to know someone within the military sector or even any sector to be able to get a job? These are some of the existential realities that many of these young people face that ultimately make them very vulnerable to terrorist groups recruiting them. it's also important to note that it's not just the issue of poverty and some of the issues I've mentioned. When state actors are not partial and inclusive in their responses, it ultimately pushes people to having little or no option but to say, look, I will join one armed group or the other. My colleague mentioned some of the places we've been to, whether it's in Gudu or Tangaza or in Kwaido, in the Arugungu axis of Kebbi State. You find areas where, for instance, there's been indiscriminate killing, and this is not holding brief for any insurgent group, but you can't bomb your way out, you know. So if you kill one person, there are two more people ready to join arms. So it ultimately has to do with literally looking at the entirety of the state infrastructure and the security infrastructure rather, to ensure that, look, you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. If you can't provide opportunities for young people to either thrive, whether it's in agriculture or in the blue economy or other forms of economies, you've given basically the terrorists to assume that responsibility and provide a career path for young people.
Mr. Ogini, talk us through your report, the recommendations that you have made. One of the challenges that I have had, on the one hand, we have to champion the cause of communities, the local communities, the hinterlands, for one major reason. Those are the communities through which any insurgency will come into the country. We have also been told quite a number of times, unfortunately, the nature of our borders. Even the military, I've spoken to that. Some retired military officials have spoken to us about our vulnerabilities in that regard as well. Add that to the issues that have just been raised now by your colleague who just spoke to us in our Abuja studio, I guess in our Abuja studio. It begs the question of whether or not we are paying attention to what's important. So please talk us through your report, your recommendations on this Lakura recruitment drive.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ayo again. The first thing we discuss is to provide an alternative, for example, for the young men at risk. What is important to know is that the continued banditry activities in that axis enable, for example, has actually led to a change in wealth distribution at the community level. We have young people who engage in farming who could no longer go to farm anymore. We have young people who actually depend on the big farmers to go to school, to do other things, who could no longer do that. So in terms of vulnerability in that region, I would take, for example, last month, if you follow the trend, we had some interview where we were able to find out that Lakurawa did not just only operate in Northwest, but they are now moving even to North Central. So they kidnap a particular person who actually they use for mapping to see military assets, blah, 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 in those areas. So right now, if you go to a place called Jibiao local government, what I know about this local government when I visited this area is that when we cross what we call Dole Kena side, is a river that is a 3-point river, which can be also a tourist site or an economy base that can be revitalized if the government is serious about it. It connects Niger to Benin Republic and to Nigeria. And from the Nigeria side, you could see also the boat and the activities going on there. That river moved close to the place where this Lakura now present in Nigeria, in Niger State, for example, is close to Manavi in Benin Republic. What do I want to say is when you look at the economic activities going on there, and if it's a presence of government involvement in infrastructure, if you go to a European city, you see many of these rivers connected different countries together. This is an example of one of the rivers that are or riverways or a blue economy that need to be strengthened to create activities for young people in order to deprive them access to Lakura Group. And what is important is because Lakura Group come with currency, foreign currency, dollar, CFA, and use that to attract the young people. Since these young people do not have access to farming anymore, and they don't have access to vocational training, and their employment opportunity is very limited, especially the young people between the age of 15 to 27, which are targeted by this group. The second point what we discuss is the issue of impartial and inclusive response to banditry, the dominance of ethnically homogeneous group, which is tackling banditry in that area, the vigilante group, and sometimes the selective targeting of a particular ethnic group, for example, elders, when it comes to the issue of banditry, actually creates more suspicion, and this has to be really urgently addressed because LACORA used this to recruit the marginalized individual. And this is very important because from our example, we already see it there, where the LACORA charge the local community, a particular ethnic group, higher tax, for example, 15 to 20% of their livestock, and then charge another ethnic group, lower one. But in other locations, they do reverse. So this strategy is to ensure that they actually create this sense of ethnic disunity so that they can use it to continue to infiltrate the community. They also participate, for example,
Apologies.
in administration of justice.
Dr. Ogini, if you can hear me, just 1 second, Dr. Ogini.
Yeah.
I find it very interesting and disturbing what you have just described, that this taxation system is happening in a state in Nigeria. Which state are we talking about here?
We are talking about Sokoto, we are talking of KB, we are talking about Castina.
Is it that the governments, the state governments, are unaware or they are powerless?
The issue with the state government is, I think we also discussed about that because we mentioned that they have to make physical protection of the rural communities, especially in remote area, because this armed group, they're always at the border and sub-national boundaries, like if you say between Niger and Niger State and KB, or you look at Sokoto. The problem there has to do with this sort of competing interest between which of the state government actors actually align with the federal government actors. For example, in supporting deployment of military or where the police need to be redeployed and military are deployed there. So there are issues with that in the aspect of coordination. There is also possibility for a particular state government to want to use the insecurity for politics, and these all actually cause delay in response, rapid response to some issue there. And this also made the community to lose their trust. So now you are responding to whether state is not aware. I want to tell you that there are ad hoc attempts, for example, where you see some local government try to negotiate. For example, in Katsina, there are 2 local governments that negotiated with them and to be able to allow them to operate easily. So, but these are ad hoc one. You can see a politician who actually also like an hero in the community who helped to negotiate so that this armed group don't attack this area. But that does not mean they will not attack other area within the same state. So these are the challenges that are coming. And maybe you can also see that there was an issue where the ex-president, governor of Kano State, Malam El-Rufai, mentioned on the negotiation. There are a few things that I think I would disagree there. For example, the federal government policy state categorically that no negotiation with any armed group. And this was the policy actually maintained during the former president, President Muhammad Buhari, and which continue up to now. But at the state level, this is where the problem lies. So there are states that negotiate, there are states that do not negotiate. So these are the dynamics that happen there.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Right. Let me ask you, Mr. Al-Hassan, for these issues, state governments usually hold security meetings, emergency security meetings to kind of talk about how to deal with these situations. And they come up with, resolutions on increasing security presence. Sometimes they call on the federal government for help. What kind of discussions do you reckon should be going on when, the chief executives of states, call together their heads of security agencies and, all the subgroups, those vigilante groups, to talk about security in their states and how they can protect communities? If these kind of groups still hold sway, whether they're attacking or they're taxing people for protection?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's important to note that it's not the capacity to get people around to have this discussion that's the problem. The problem is the execution. And truth be told, I think a couple of days ago, the Zamfara State Governor was on different media platforms highlighting the challenge where they do know where many of these bandits or non-state armed groups are, but they do not have the authority to execute them or to take any kind of action. And this leads us to the issue of honestly state policing, and I think the president has mentioned state policing even in this week as in response to the issue that had happened in Katsina where over 50 people were killed. It's not that issue, it's not the capacity to congregate. Honestly, the state governors do not necessarily have any capacity to be able to execute. This has been a frustration for many state governors time in memorial. The irony is that state policing exists in one way or the other. Whether it's in vigilantes, whether it's in community guards, or whether it's in even in the Southwest, you have things like Amoteko and others. So what we have to make sure is that we find ways that state governments are held accountable, that the issue of justice and injustice is something that is severely looked at, and there are mechanisms that many of these states would be able to resolve many of the issues. My colleague mentioned the issue of Rijau in Niger State, where Lakura is now making some inroads. There, you've had the local government chairman, for instance, who has basically been able to find ways to essentially try to provide some sorts of security or securing for his people. You've had the media is flooded with photos of politicians who are actually supporting their states with or their constituents with arms and all of that. So it's important to note that we have to be ahead of the curve and not necessarily play catch up. At the federal level, state policing should be significantly discussed. The modalities for that has to come into place. And to respond to some of the things that Ayo mentioned with regards to taxing, as surprising as it may be, it is very, very true. And these taxation systems differ. It's not necessarily a question of does it happen, or I think when you're doing this work, you become very somewhat desensitized to the gravity of these issues. You know, non-state armed groups, even as early as this week, you've had non-state armed groups confiscating cattle from people, and for people who have refused to pay taxes. When farmers or herders try to diversify, for example, they also go ahead, so diversify in terms of selling their cattle and wanting to relocate from the community and all of that. What the Lakura in particular have been able to do is to say, oh, you've sold your cattle and you want to go and buy maybe a tractor, a mowing machine. They essentially will force you to burn that mowing machine that you put in your blood, sweat and tears into. Now imagine what type of society are we creating? A society that is incredibly unjust, that puts people out of work, and ironically it creates that vicious circle that you mentioned earlier with regards to recruitment, because people they feel like, okay, the state has not protected us and all of that. Now, interesting in the twist of fate, this is the same thing that led to the invitation of Lakurawa in 2018 into the Nigerian borders. And despite negotiations with the state, at that time, a group of these Lakurawa members left. So until we fix the entirety of our security infrastructure, we ensure that the protection of remote communities is a priority. And just to add that when we don't protect a community, whether it's in Borgu, in Kwara State, or we don't protect a community because we think Niger State is far from Abuja, or we think that a state in Kebbi is far from Abuja, the truth is these terrorists have no other option but to keep on encroaching and keep on taking much more territory? Is it until they come to Abuja before we will act? You know, these are things that we ultimately really have to look into. Just to stress that the state authorities, some of them, particularly the state governors, their hands are tied to some extent, and they try as much as possible, even though they have to do much more. But these are the honest realities on ground. And with regards to livelihoods, you know, we've made mention, we've seen the collaboration between Lagos, for instance, and Kebbi State with the lake rice. Those are the types of initiatives that we're supposed to look at. When my colleague mentioned the area between Malinville, Dandi, and in Kebbi and in Niger, it's a tri-point area. In any country in the world, that in itself, it's a beautiful place for a resort and other things, which will put young people to work, which will give them a sense of aspiration, a sense of ambition and all of that. The blue economy there is something else. Fishing, etc. We've learned from the northeast of how terrorists like ISWAP control the fishing value chain. Do we have to wait until Akura gets into that business before we move? No, we have to be proactive rather than reactive, you know. Another thing that's incredibly important to stress is the issue of strategic communication. This strategic communication channels, you have done a good job by inviting us here, but places like Kwedo, Arugungu, and Mera, they are 20-30 minutes or 20-30 kilometers away from the state capital. You should go there, you should interview people, you should have, in the same way you've done from with the issue of climate change, that we've had some people come and share community perspectives. You should bring these people so that it doesn't look like researchers are sat here in Abuja or sat in Bonn in Germany and discussing things that are not necessarily true. Highlight many of there are places across many of these communities where they don't even have access to policing. There's no issue of police before you even talk about military. And I think I've mentioned the issue of state policing. We can go on and on and on about this issue. I think another issue my friend has made mention is the issue of the politicization of
Mr. Al-Hassan, just 1 second. My sincere apologies that we have completely run out of time, and clearly, you know, every time, particularly Dr. Ogini, we are talking about these issues, they are always like conversation starters, because before we are done talking about one, another one is already springing up. And this particular conversation is no different. We sincerely apologize that we can't take this any further at this time, but we certainly will get back to it, because it is an existential threat, as your report has said. Okay.
Right, so we must thank you, gentlemen, once again for coming on the show. Oyewole Ogini, senior researcher, Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies, speaking to us virtually, and Mustafa Al-Hassan, research associate, Overseas Development Institute, speaking to us from our Abuja studios. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So when we return, no, we are not fighting this time. However, it is for you
to love
yourself.
Yourself.
But it's specific parts of yourself, which you don't see, by the way. The day you see it, there's a problem. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're the semi-home stretch. How would you put it? Our lifestyle segment. And this morning, we're going to be talking about one of the most important organs in the body, talking about your liver and how you can love it. It doesn't always get enough attention, as we say. The liver.
Oh, when it does get attention, it's to punish it.
It's to punish people. It's one of the hardest working organs that we have, from cleaning out toxins to helping with digestion to storing energy. Your liver is busy 24/7, just like the heart, really. The heart is always busy. So in this lifestyle segment, we'll be looking at the simple habits that keep the liver healthy, small changes that you can make in your diet, in how much water to drink, even in the way that you rest, really, also very important for the liver. Think of it as giving your liver a little love or big love, like this. Big
Love.
love.
Whether it's
Love your
small
liver.
or big. Love. So who is talking to us about this?
All right, so, apologies. Yonda, I love that name. Agbeniga, CEO and principal consultant of Medi Ideas Lifestyle and Wellness Center. That's a mouthful. That's how important this is.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to have
again.
you.
Thank you.
We want to talk about love for the liver.
Right. That's great.
It's almost like loving God because you can't see God. But
This is not platonic.
honestly, so first of all, we said, Joke just said that the liver doesn't get so much attention. Is that correct?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay, so that sounds controversial. However, I think amongst the body parts, especially the unseen one, the liver is one of the most abused organ. Like she said that part of the function of the liver is to detoxify, help with clotting, help with immunity, and a host of functions. However, because of our lifestyle, we're constantly abusing the liver. Medications, cosmetics, we're all guilty of it. Cream, anything you put on your skin, because the skin is a barrier but helps with absorption, will ultimately get to the liver. And so the liver has to clean up all the things you're putting in it. Carbonated drinks, high pH drinks, fatty foods, everything. The liver has to break them down into harmless substances that can be absorbed into the body. And so with medications, it's an entirely different story. Every medication you take, every drink you take has to go to the liver to be broken down. So that guy is constantly working. And sometimes we take stuff or things that are very heavy, very toxic to the liver, and the guy is breaking it down. After a while of abuse, it breaks down. And that's when diseases show up. You take your liver function test, the numbers are high because it is grossly overworking. Alcohol also, I forgot to say that.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot to unpack. Maybe there is a need for people to learn to understand how the liver works. Maybe if we understand how it works, then, as you said, we can understand how we abuse it and now begin to retrace our steps.
Okay, so the liver breaks down everything that comes in contact with us. I always want to start with things like cosmetics, your cream, your eye pencil, yes.
The liver works on...
Yeah, your medications, your drinks, your food, your fried foods. Everything gets into the bloodstream, is passed through the hepatic vein, and through the hepatic portal vein. Anything hepa is liver. So it gets there, it breaks it down, and then the waste products are pushed out. So that guy is constantly working. And it's called, in biochemistry, it's called the metabolic house, the house where all the workings, the manufacturing center. The kidney is the filtering center that filters fluids, acids, and stuff. But the guy that will break down everything that comes into your body is the liver. So food even gets broken down in the stomach, but then the absorption, all that goes through the liver. So let me give a classic example. Like I said earlier, you have, of course, we have skin. The skin has pores. So whatever you put on it, the skin is not inert. It's not blocked. Like we do detox for our faces, we open the pores and do detox. That's how the skin barrier is. So anything you're putting on it is going straight to the bloodstream and being absorbed in the liver.
Right. What about what is not being said? You said the liver functions effectively to break down almost everything that comes in orally or topically and all that. But sometimes the failures of the liver probably may not be because it's overworked. I don't know. I'm just it's a hypothesis. And that there's some certain things that the liver is supposed to do that probably stops doing, like production of bile, all these other things that it probably, and then that's the start of the problems, because sometimes the doctors will say that you don't know that something is wrong until the liver stops performing its functions, or it doesn't do some of the many important things that it's supposed to do. Then that's when you now know, oh, okay, I have liver here and there's something wrong somewhere.
Okay, so let me take it like this. The first thing I said was about the basic functions. But because that organ is doing that basic function, it's taking in a lot of functions in addition. So its work is to detoxify, clean out. That's it, the first thing I said. Produce clotting factors, produce bile to help with our digestion.
Digestion, yes.
So maybe we've taken too much fried foods. And it has to also break down fats to glycogen for storage, So too much fatty foods is absorbing and breaking down. So comes fatty liver. Alcoholic liver problems, because the literature says reduce alcohol, but I always want to err on the side of caution. Go off it. I mean, it's not doing any good to your liver. It's ethanol and it's a chemical. Your body has to break it down. After a while of breaking it down, it goes to cirrhosis, alcoholic liver, cirrhosis, fibrosis, scarring of the liver. Once the liver is scarred from too much, it doesn't recover. However, the liver is one of the most resilient organs in the body. After a lot of abuse, you put in medications, you put in all that stuff that is toxic for it, it will heal. But after a while, it gets scarred. And once it's scarred, it doesn't repair itself.
All right, let me put it this way. When someone is not feeling well, and then, a day or two, I have a headache, I have this, I'm not feeling well, I'm feverish. When you go to the hospital, the liver is so important. I mean, should it be the first organ that's checked? Since it has to do, it carries out a lot of functions, and it monitors a lot of activities of humans because of all the things that go into our body. So shouldn't it be the first organ that's checked to say, why is this body not feeling well? Liver, what are you doing?
Oh, no.
Liver, what are you doing to this human?
No. That's not how.
I'm just thinking.
Liver has suffered.
That's not how it works. Okay, so medically, when you present with a problem, okay, so if it's a headache, first thing we're trying to check is if there's dehydration. A host of other things could give you the symptoms. However, for liver problems, there are specific symptoms. Pain in the upper, lower part of below your diaphragm on the right. That's where the guy is.
No, sorry. Let me put it this way. I'm really sorry. Like, for instance, when you say liver helps you with digestion because it produces something that's... So for instance, if you have indigestion and you have this one and that one, and you know that there's a particular organ that's supposed to produce some substance for you to be able to perform that function of metabolism, I mean...
That should be the first thing they'll check.
You have to get to the bottom of it. That's what I'm trying to say.
So what I was saying is it depends on the symptoms you present with.
Yes.
So... True, your liver should be checked. Most times when you present with some problems like that, they will check your liver. However, if it's a fever, we want to check your blood count first.
Yes.
To see if your white cell is high, if there's an infection, if you're presenting with sepsis or something like vomiting and stooling, there are things we will check. But there are specific things I will say, oh, the liver is wrong. Like when your eyes are very yellow, jaundice, your skin is yellow. That's jaundice. Bilirubin is in the blood. And it will be visibly yellow. You will know that this person
obviously it is not visibly
That's what they check for babies, newborns and all
bilirubin accumulation in the blood. Then there are specific things I would make, like when you have the pain, like I was talking about, when you're having indigestion, we should actually check for the liver. Then in end stage, some of the end stage cancer symptoms like ascites, that's they have water in the liver, fluid in the liver. They have bloated tummy and swollen legs.
Yes.
That's a major indicator that you need to check the liver enzymes. Another thing that the liver enzymes will help you to indicate when you go to the hospital and you check is maybe there's something called ALP, alkaline phosphatase. If that is very high, in a cancer patient, that means the cancer has spread to the bones. You know, so there are different parameters that should be checked when a blood test is being run for the liver to indicate what exactly the problem is. So your first line should be your full blood count, and then yes, you would want to add the liver function test.
Okay. Now, we have just barely 7 minutes. So, how do we demonstrate? What are the everyday habits we need to protect what is called the body's hardest working organ?
It's really hardest.
Okay, so you know, I would always support the organics first. Number one, there are a couple of things you can do for a heavily overworked liver. You need to detoxify. You need to jumpstart or aid this detoxification process.
I thought that is the detoxification engine of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have overworked it when there's a problem.
So you need to detox the detoxifier.
Yeah, so you need to help it with jumpstarting is this detoxification process.
Okay.
There are things you could do. You could do a sauna. A sauna helps you with sweating.
Okay.
An infrared sauna helps you with sweating. It's called hypothermia. That would help the activity. You put less pressure on the liver because you're going to sweat with the hypothermia and the heat coming in. Then you could do all these drinks, green tea, milk thistle, dandelion, all that stuff. However, your first line, if you're taking alcohol, is to stop or start by reducing it. That's the first love you would show to the liver. The second thing is to reduce fried foods because cholesterol build up, fatty liver.
All your fried chicken.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
Grill. Air fry.
Oh.
Yeah. Air frying is very good.
And you grill.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then
Wait. Are you saying it is not good for the liver or it is good for the liver?
It's not too good for the liver.
fried foods are not good for the liver. It's helping you with glycogen. So storing, after you can't do the work anymore, it will start to store the fat, like fatty liver. You know, and that's a big problem. You know, because that means there is impaired liver function. So you need to do more greens, antioxidants, glutathione, like oranges, citrus, lemon.
Okay, so let me put it this way. When you have a doctor sibling, your life is never the same. They always tell you, don't do this, like my sister, the
They're
doctor.
amazing.
She's always saying, don't drink all these things to detoxify. The liver is there for you to detoxify itself. Don't help it. It will do its job by itself. Don't do this, don't do that. So, but now you're saying that we should actually help the liver sometimes to do that. So which is it?
We need a balance.
All right. So the same thing, I'll come from the supplement arm. Let's use normal logic. Good medicine involves reasoning and logic. So you want to get vitamin C into your body, and you have scurvy, vitamin C deficiency, and the lips are broken. So, and you need maybe like 3,000 milligrams or 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day to heal that. How many oranges are you going to take? A basket. So, and your body needs healing. So why don't you take the vitamin C tablets and put it in your mouth? Same thing. Sometimes the liver is overworked. I mean, they're amazing to recommend those things. However, you need to support your metabolism. Why are you taking vegetables? Why don't you eat all fried meat all day and let the liver be handling it? That's why you see people with liver failure. You see, because they've taken so much toxic medications or whatever it is that they took that is toxic. They have the big tummy thing, they have the swollen legs, and then they do an abdominal scan and they say there's ascites, the liver has fluid around it, and that's gross liver failure. Most times when they get to that stage, that's end-stage cancer. And there's not much you're going to give them medications with ascites. It's not how the liver to process the medication has failed. So how do they make it?
So it's good from time to time to help the liver with its own detoxification process.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. You will still go and talk to your doctor at home. Now, how about, you've said the number one thing, one huge thing to do, love to show to the liver is stop alcoholic drinks. And we should stop fried food.
Carbonated drinks also.
And carbonated drinks.
Reduce.
Reduce.
Acidity.
Okay. And then I also see that poor sleep can also be injurious.
Oh, yes.
How? Maybe it's because we are busy, we are working, so that's why we couldn't sleep much.
Okay, so there's something called the DAR cycle. DAR, detox, assimilation, rejuvenates. When you're sleeping is when your body is rejuvenating. That's the first thing. Okay, and then not sleeping, you're working. We are all guilty of it. Everybody's guilty, plus the preacher. So we're working and we have a deadline. We have reports to submit and stuff. We have something in our body called cortisol. That's what's keeping you going. Adrenaline, that's what's keeping you going. That's what's helping you jump the fence when you see a lion. That stuff is not supposed to be in your body long term. So it's there long term keeping you going because you didn't sleep. So your liver has to do extra work to break down those substances so that it's neutralized in your body.
So how regularly should one conduct checks, particularly on the liver, just to be safe?
Okay, so the annual medical says once a year. Sometimes your results are valid for 6 months. So I say twice a year. But then when you are ill, like nausea, vomiting, stooling, please check the liver. Pain in the abdominal area, check the liver. Indigestion, check the liver. Yellow eyes, yellow skin, check the liver. And I think, like she said, after you do your blood works, the next you should add your liver function test to know that guy is producing well.
Yeah.
Now, there are people who already have a poor habit of medical checks. Sometimes medical checks can be really expensive. And you've talked about going organic. Is there a help somewhere there?
Like, I didn't get it clearly.
Like, checking is expensive. And you've said we should help show love to our liver by abstaining, making some adjustments in our lifestyles.
Okay, so really, like the journals say, lifestyle modification is key for everything. Whether you're trying to avoid a cancer or a high blood pressure or a diabetes or a liver problem, it's almost the same rules. Eat right, modify your lifestyle, exercise, get oxygen. I don't like caffeine, coffee. I just feel it makes the liver do extra work. You
Not even organic coffee.
Yeah, right. But truly, people
I'm just saying.
do organic coffees that have ganoderma and all those stuff in it. Truly, it's not bad. Okay. But that's just honest truth. Because it's decaffeinated and stuff. However, I just don't like coffee, because of all the other dramas that come alongside with it. The constriction of the blood vessels, then the release. Once it's constricted like that, your blood pressure goes up. Suddenly you have a spike, and then once it releases, because it's like a stimulant, Yeah, the organics in it are nice, but then that constriction and release, I gives people a lot of problem.
Well, the coffee people are coming after you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, teaching us and helping us to know how to show love to our liver. Yonda Beniga, CEO and Principal Consultant, Media Ideas Lifestyle and Wellness Center. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you for your time.
Now, Joker couldn't wait to get to the home stretch.
Semi home stretch.
And
now
that's
this is the home stretch.
where we have gotten to after this break. Just to let you know, our guest is set to perform and break a Guinness Book of World Record. Who is that? Find out
We'll
after
let you
this.
know in a moment.
Thank you for staying with us. Well, just before we jump into the next conversation, Abiodun Onatoye, your mail is here asking what the effect of AST45 and ALT45 is when the range given was 0 to 40 respectively, and what should I do to correct it? We'll get your message to Dr. Agbeniga because this is not English language at all.
Yeah.
Now, To our guest this morning, he is a Nigerian stand-up comedian, reality TV star, social media influencer. I don't know what he feels about the cybercrime law and how it affects him. He'll talk about that one. You are seeing his face already. Aderombi Adedayo Martin, popularly known as D1.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us
We'll also
today.
ask if his lifestyle affords him to love his liver.
You had that conversation.
Yeah, I did. It was good.
How did that come out?
I mean, I'm a fan of good health. And part of what we do is also, also helps you live longer. As a comedian, we make people laugh. Comedians make people laugh. So if you laugh, the more you laugh, the longer you live. It's been proven.
Yes, that is correct. The only challenge here is sometimes the medicator, if I can create that word, needs medication.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I mean, I just relax, take it easy. Nothing stresses me out, And
I heard of a comedian, not in Nigeria,
okay,
that died of depression.
comedians are they are some of the most depressed people in the world. Funny enough.
Wow.
We go through a lot, and despite the fact that we go through a lot, we still create time to make you guys laugh. So I mean, sometimes, like you said, who makes the comedian laugh? So I mean, how do you relax? I found a way. I relax. I check stuff online. Sometimes I air my view. Some people see it as, oh, D1, you are envious of this person. D1, you are jealous. D1, mind your business and all of that. But I see it as correcting people, just sort of therapy, correcting, making. I mean, that's my own contribution to nation building.
What about support, on the home front? What kind of support?
Support from?
Home front.
Okay.
Supports that you get such that you need not be depressed, really, if that's the case. If you maybe some people look forward after maybe being on the road for such a long time, when they go back home, they go back to warmth, loving family.
Yeah.
If you have the kids, all those things. How much support do you get such that you will not one will not fall into that category of being depressed and just not loving your life, even though you love to make people laugh?
Yeah, my family is like my number one support. My mother, I mean, funny enough, just yesterday, right? My mother, my father, as old as I am, my mother, father, brother, and sister sent me some money to support my project. So they believe in me, they check on me, we're one, that kind of thing. So when you have that kind of support, really, people that are saying, we're there for you, anything you do, you can face the world.
Pardon me, so are you saying in this Nigeria that we are, and we know doctor, engineer, lawyer, what have you?
Senior apostle.
Senior apostle. So are you saying that when your parents knew that, oh, he's going to be a comedian, they didn't flip or say, oh my God, what are you doing after we sent you to school?
Auntie Joke, they didn't flip. Like they were
what?
so.
Auntie, what? Sorry. Excuse me.
Wait. Don't, go ahead, Jare.
That was deliberate. That was deliberate, actually.
Excuse me. Do I look like?
Well, you're giving these rich auntie vibes anyway.
Siam. Rich auntie vibes.
So I mean, they were very. My dad. I wish you can meet them. They're in the UK. They're based in the UK. My family's based in the UK. They were very open to the idea. The only thing is that they wanted me to start comedy officially in the UK.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, they wanted me to be like a UK-based comedian, Nigerian, comedian based in the UK. But I wanted to do something in Nigeria. Although my first major show was in the UK, Julius Agu's show. That was 2010 at Trogsy. I met. I think that was the first time Funny Bone, Osama. Senator, that was the first time they were in the UK. I was there on vacation, so we linked up. I met a lot of people, Teju Babyface, Sheilo, Princess, and all of that. So I was able to learn the ropes. And Julius Agu was really, really receptive. He had never seen me perform before, and he said, "You'll do 5 minutes."
Right, and you also had a stint with Alibaba. So that 5 minutes.
Alibaba.
That 5 minutes.
Alibaba gave me. I mean, we'll talk about that. Alibaba gave me my first brand new car.
Right.
Yeah, I won that competition, the first Alibaba Spontaneity. So for me, it was beyond the prize. It was prophetic.
And that's how you knew that this is for me.
Yeah.
Like mom and dad, your boy is shining.
Yeah, I mean, they were so happy, you know.
Yeah.
I actually came to Nigeria to compete for that thing because I was more in the UK that time. We were still having that back and forth. But when I won that, competition, my dad was like, Alibaba that is this big, for you to win this competition, that means you're good. And, today, Alibaba is so proud of me. Everything I want to do, I share it with him first. It's very brilliant, it's vast, so.
That's your Alibaba guy. I attended one of those spontaneity things. And you know how difficult spontaneity is?
Very difficult. You don't even know the topic, just pick.
Alibaba they gave him the box. Oh yeah, pick. He will pick, crack a joke, pick, crack it. No, he didn't lose a breath. He will pick, crack it. I'm like, they have to collect the thing from him. Stop.
Yeah. He's a wizard when it comes to comedy. If I'm allowed to use that word, he is. Alibaba is there. Do you get what I'm saying? There's Alibaba and there are comedians. So right now, I mean, look at what Alibaba has done really. He has done a lot for the industry.
Yes.
Shaped it. Even some of these young guys, they don't know the importance, or the role he played. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to see how I can also, take it to another level in my own way, and that's why, you talked about the world record.
We'll come to that.
Okay, yeah.
We'll come to that because I know you can't even wait. Maybe we should actually go there now. What informed it? I think Alibaba has done something like that before.
Alibaba has done 6 hours straight.
Okay.
He didn't repeat any joke. So I mean,
for 6 hours.
Yeah, of course, can't talk for 2 years without. So I'm going to be attempting 40 hours. The current record is 40 hours. I applied for 60 hours, right? So we're going to see how that goes. But just know that, I have the spirit of Alibaba and all the guys I have.
But how prepared are you?
Very prepared. I was born prepared now. And, I told you now.
Do you practice?
Of course. I'm
40 hours is almost 2 days. So.
Yeah, it's almost.
Have you practiced for how many hours?
And I have to do more than that.
How many hours have you practiced?
I've been practicing for 12 years.
No, I mean, how many hours at a point when you're doing your practice? How long? What's your stretch? Your limit that you've seen?
Right now, I'm practicing for about 100 hours. So worst case scenario, if I'm tired, if I'm weak, village people, I'll still get to like 80, 60 hours.
Interesting.
I mean, you have to be really good to try this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very few people in the world can attempt it.
What does it take to attempt this world record thing? What does it need? What do you require?
First of all, you have to be really good at what you want to do. So I've been doing comedy club every week for over 12 years. That's why I said I've been preparing for 12 years, So all those things, they form this part of me that is making this decision. And that time it was, we started at Nomolus, God bless his soul, and then Omababa took it to another level. I was very frequent at Omababa's comedy club. So yeah, I've been practicing every day, except I'm on vacation. Even when I'm on vacation, I look for the nearest comedy club to listen to comedians and practice some of my materials.
When is this likely to happen?
2nd of October. You're invited.
That's how many weeks away?
Yeah.
Where is this?
Ikeja.
Okay. Now, if there is anyone out there right now watching and wondering, okay, when we mentioned them, you said something about Alibaba. You said there is Alibaba and there is comedy. So it's like Alibaba is like an epitome of something. But what is yours? What if anyone says, okay, this comedians, and they talk about a particular segment, and they say, the king of that segment is D1. What segment would that be?
I mean, king might be.
Yes, I know. I'm stretching it a little. Yes.
Yeah, but I would say spontaneity. I'm very spontaneous. I can tell jokes on anything. Like the way the light is reflecting on your body, I can actually really.
Thank you very much for calling it NTA.
I want to hear it.
Thank you very much for calling it NTA.
So that
say it.
Because there is always light. Yes, I know.
Light. So
yes.
I mean, it's a good thing because I can actually see myself through you, if that makes sense. But I mean, it's about spontaneity for me. I love it because you can make a joke out of anything, and being the first winner of Alibaba spontaneity, this is big, and it's not just about me. It's about also putting Nigeria on the map for good. It's about encouraging a lot of youth because I'm one of the most criticized Nigerians, on social media. So people will be motivated to see that with all the negative comments that this guy gets sometimes, but it has changed now anyway. This guy is taking this bold step. So I'm sending a message to not just the youth, but the whole of Nigeria, home and abroad, that, we're very, very strong people.
Okay. Now, there is something that people say about reading the room, that when you get into a room, you need to read the room so you don't lose your audience. Have you ever had a situation where you got into the room or the hall or the stage or whatever, you started your performance, but for some reason, it was like, you were talking to the wrong crowd. They're not responding the way you expect them, which should naturally ginger you to do more. Has that kind of thing happened to you before? How did you address it?
I think it has happened to every comedian.
Oh.
Comedians are very smart. Stand-up comedians are very smart. So sometimes you say some things and then you see their reaction will just change. But the ability for you to switch it, is what makes you a professional. It comes with a job. Sometimes you just know. In fact, sometimes you're going for a show, maybe you're so busy, you get there late, you're performing, and then, because in Nigeria, a lot of people steal materials. So you're telling a joke, and then the previous comedian has done your material. So, it now looks like what's happening. So sometimes you just read the room. Sometimes some people will tell you that they don't talk this thing before, which is another problem in the comedy business. But I think we have a lot of comedians who are very creative these days. I'm one of them.
Well, clearly. Otherwise, you would not be sitting in that chair. We would have chased you out a long time ago.
I know.
But, in terms of structuring the industry for the future, is there anything that can be done about this whole plagiarism thing?
I think when we have more people buy our products, like buy stuff on maybe all the streaming platforms, I think it will be taken more seriously. For instance, I think Netflix tried to do a couple of buying here and there. I don't know how that went, but there are a lot of talented comedians that have their materials ready. I have my own special. It's been ready for going to 3 years now. I'm not going to put it on YouTube because I know how much we put into that. I don't think anybody has that body of work in Nigeria yet. So by the time we get to the level where people are now buying materials like that, I think other young comics will be encouraged to do the right thing. We're getting there, but so for someone like me, I try to prepare for the future. I try to do stuff and.
Okay, just to be clear, you said the world record attempt is on the 2nd of October.
3rd and 4th.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yes.
What time is it likely to start?
So I'll be starting on the 2nd, 12 a.m.
Midnight.
Yes, 12 midnight. We'll kick it off, and then it ends. If we do 60 hours, it ends on the 4th in the afternoon. And then I have a major show on the 5th at TBS.
Right.
How are you? Anyway.
We're closing, but you need to make us laugh before we go. Come on.
I mean, you
don't use my head.
Read the room and make us laugh.
Let me send you. Can I just write my account details for you?
No, writing it is not a problem.
So that you send the money now.
Which money?
Do what?
This thing is.
Make me laugh first.
Okay, what's your most popular joke? The one that you almost boxed someone in the.
I was in Big Brother.
Yes.
You know I was in Big Brother. I know you will not watch Big Brother. You don't be someone that has that time.
I'm glad you know.
Yeah. I was in Big Brother and I was so sure that I was going to win 2018. And I came out of that. I was one of the first set of housemates they sent away.
You were the most nominated for eviction.
Yeah, I came out and I failed that show in South Africa.
And how did you feel?
I felt really, mixed feelings. But like I said, my family is like my major support. So when I came back, I was on a show And then it was, funny enough, it was January 1st, Alibaba's show. And I talked about it. And I said, well, when I came out of the house, I was trying to explain to my wife, like, I'm so sorry I came out of the house. She was like, oh, no, normally you don't last, so.
Oh, Jesus.
Aderobi, Adedayo, Martin, don't say a word again.
So, I mean,
Popularly
that
known
went
as
viral.
D1.
Yeah.
He's a Nigerian stand-up comedian, reality TV star, and social media influencer. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Don't
coming.
even say thank you. You are
You
welcome.
didn't even ask me why I'm rubbing
I
it.
don't want you to say anything again. Thank you so much. And that's
Thanks
the
for
show
having
today.
me.
Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your Saturday morning.
Yes.
And thank you, Joker Rogers.
And
This is your
thank you,
day.
Ayo Makide, for having me.
I should have been blushing, but my blushing cream has expired. And they don't make it anymore. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.